Hey everyone, we're in the last week of the CYA series. We've spent the past 10 weeks going over why you should make sure you understand how to underwrite your numbers, 3 weeks on the revenue side, 5 weeks on the expense side, and now we're going to wrap it all up. You've seen some offering memorandums. Hopefully you've taken the NOIs and the numbers they've presented and adjusted them based on rational assumptions, and you're staring at this adjusted NOI and deciding what offer to make on the property. Now there are a couple ways you can determine a valuation of a property. The one you're going to see most commonly is the cap rate. Now I'm not a huge fan of cap rates. I think there are way too many variables in a property to simply take an arbitrary percentage, but it's something that's used regularly. So take that number from their memo. Say they're assuming a 7% cap rate on their NOI. Well, take that same 7% and put it on your NOI, and you can use that to justify the offer price and explain how you got there. A bigger benefit of a cap rate is looking at it from an exit standpoint. Now, a lot of people will say take whatever cap rate you're at and jack it up because cap rates are pretty historically low right now. But the reality is they're not. Cap rates are essentially a risk premium for buying a multifamily as opposed to, say, a 10-year treasury. And historically, the spread's been about 250 to 300 basis points over 10-year. 10-year treasuries sub 2.5, just a tick under 2.5% right now. So realistically, cap rates should be in the 5 to 5.5 historically. And unless you're in a 24-hour city or a major metro, you're probably seeing cap rates still in the 6s, maybe even into the 7s. So historically speaking, cap rates are not that low. In fact, there's enough spread over the 10-year that even some interest rate increases shouldn't have a meaningful impact in it. But I would still take whatever your going in cap rate is going to be and maybe add 10 to 20 basis points per anticipated year of hold for your analysis. So if you're going to hold a property for 5 years, put on 50 basis points to 100 basis points on top of your going in. That should give you a pretty conservative and safe assumption for your exit cap when you're running your numbers. So now you have your proposed offer price, and you need to make sure it makes sense. One way to do that is by looking at comparable sales in the market. There's a lot of sales going on right now, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. In fact, the offering memorandum, if it's done by any credible broker, is going to have comparable sales in there. But just remember, they came up with their list price way before they came up with their comps, and more times than not, those comps are conveniently going to support the sale price. I've seen memos where there's been comps 2 towns over, and I know damn well there's sales between the 2 properties, but they're just not supportive of the ask price. So do your own independent research. You can do it on a software site like a CoStar or something like that, or you can just go for free onto your county appraiser site. Usually those sites will show the most recent sales, and in a lot of counties you can actually sort it by time of sale. You can do a range of the past 6 months, 9 months, and see properties that have sold. Make sure they're comparable, they have similar amenities, unit counts, sizes, ages, and get a sense. If your cap rate assumption and your adjusted NOI says you should make an offer of $80,000 a unit and there's sales to support it, then that makes sense. If you see numbers and they say that the recent sales are only $70,000 a unit, then take a look at your numbers. But take your adjusted NOI and come up with your valuation, make your offer. If your offer is accepted, great. You've now put in a reasonable offer that's going to make you some money and not tie you down to an overpriced property. If your offer is not accepted, that's great too. There's other properties to buy. And the last thing you want to do is overpay for a property just to buy something. So take a look at these last 10 weeks, assess any numbers you see, adjust them for yourself, and make sure you're buying properties at a number that works for you and your partners and is going to be a solid investment in the long term. So this has been a fun 10 weeks. We anticipate continuing these under a different topic probably the next week or two, but this is the end of the CYA series. I hope that all of you can now look at your numbers, adjust them accordingly, and make wise decisions when buying your next multifamily property. I'll talk to you soon.